Co-Chair Mallory. My co-chair Mallory is unable to attend today, but she helped also curate this wonderful program for you today. But before we start, I would like to defer to the committee chairs to see if they have any quick updates.
Sure, I'll jump in. It's Jennifer Gardner. I'm the Social and Networking Committee Chair. We are planning an outdoor yoga event for sometime in the summer, TBD. Just working around the Bar Association schedule and some other events that they have going on. But to put on your radar, it's not a Women in the Law event, it's an all Bar Association event. There's a mini bar on May 10th at Merwin's Wharf. And also the large Rock Foundation fundraiser at the Rock Hall coming up in June, both just full Bar Association events. We will also be bringing back the much beloved ice cream social at Edgewater that you can bring your families to. We're going to look for a date in July, and the committee will be getting together this month to start planning that. And I think that's all the social networking updates I have. So thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. Allison, do you have any updates?
I do not, as far as food for thought, and I'm on the social and networking committee with Jennifer. I think she covered all that. But food for thought groups have long been formed. I have a West Side lunch group that if you're a part of that, and we got an initial email and we've kind of failed to launch, but if anyone wants to pick that up, I'm going to try to get something on the books before the end of the month. But I hope the other groups are meeting. And if anyone hasn't met and wants to be reshuffled or something like that, we've got a few more months in this year. I'm happy to try to help coordinate that. And my email is in the agenda.
Thank you so much, Allison. And Jennifer, I don't think Tricia is with us today. I just wanted to thank you all for the work you do. It really takes a village. And I also want to encourage all of you to get involved in a committee or hold a leadership position in WIL. We have many opportunities. I started as the chair of the Social Justice Committee 5 years ago and have moved up to co-chair. It has been one of the most rewarding experiences of my professional career. You will make valuable connections that will last a lifetime. You will elevate other women, professionals such as yourself, and enhance your own legal career. So please get involved. Today's program is the last in our leadership series. As you know, leadership is a pathway to equity advancement. Today's program will delve into embracing your own unique brilliance. We have Natalie Djibouti joining us from Trinidad today. As the Brilliance Unveiler, Natalie leverages more than 15 years of experience empowering hundreds of women as an image consultant, and now as a transformational leadership coach and personal brand strategist of the Unveiled Way. She works with seasoned professional women and entrepreneurs to empower them to unveil their brilliance so they can transform to the next level version of themselves needed to make an impact and lead unapologetically in their arena. Natalie is an ICF certified coach, best-selling author, mentor, speaker, and facilitator. She recently published her second book, It's Your Time to Shine, Girl. Own your own brilliance, step into your influence, and lead like a trailblazer. And that book was offered to all of you who are joining us today. She'll delve more into this book. We will put in the chat her website, the book, if you want to purchase it, you don't have it. Also, Natalie's offering a quiz for you, and I'll put all of this in the chat. And really a nice gesture from Natalie. She will be offering a special coaching session for all the women who are here today, or men. It's called It's My Momentum Accelerator Her Coaching Session. And we'll also put that link, or Natalie will put that link. As lawyers, we need to be true to ourselves. I was going to say, let our work product speak for ourselves. You don't have to be or to fit into somebody else's mold. So I read a quote today that there is nothing more rare nor more beautiful than a woman being unapologetically herself, comfortable in her perfect. So with that, let's get started, and please welcome Natalie Jaboti. Thank you.
It's Jobati, but that's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. So it's such a pleasure to be with you all today, ladies. I'm going to jump right into it. So we're going to explore today what leading like a woman looks like at a very top level, because you only have less than an hour at this point. The goal is to touch on a few of the topics I talk about in my book, It's Your Time to Shine, Girl, and I'll just show it really quickly because some of you already have seen it. The agenda today is not set in stone, as I like to go where we all flow. Plus, this is an interactive experience, so I'm going to engage with you as much as I can, and not just a talk. I'll be taking Q&A throughout, so if you have questions, put them in the chat, and if Awatef or Dominica can save the questions as I go, that would be great. I'll be calling on volunteers from the room to share their perspectives and experiences. So the brave ones who have not yet raised their Zoom hand, and we'll be having time for you to do that. To kick things off, I'd like you to spend a couple of minutes, though it's always good to set intentions for everything that we do. And so I want you to take a few minutes to think about what would you like to take away from this time today? And please share it in the chat if you don't mind. Like, what would you want to learn? What is your greatest professional challenge? What do you struggle with as a lawyer? And what would you like to get from this session today? I'm not promising that you will get it, but it's good for you to know for yourself and to share with the room what's important to you. So just take a couple minutes for you to do that. Yeah, and please feel free to type in the chat what you're thinking. Again, we're creating a very sort of like safe place for you to just use this time to be authentic and transparent and talk about what's important to you. Jennifer says to learn to value her own accomplishments and not to compare. Great intention. Comparison is the thief of joy. That's something I say in my book, and it is. But so many of us as women, we compare, we think we have to, but we don't need to go that route. We can be camaraderies and not competitors. Ready to listen and metabolize, Sonia. Metabolize is an interesting word there. Would love to know more about that. What do you mean by that? Anybody else want to share what they're wanting to take away today? Settle in my own voice, Kelly is saying, and not give my attention to doubts. Great one. That imposter in our mind, the critic, the negative narratives, it's pervasive among so many of us. So you're not alone in that. Just know that it's something we all struggle with. And I have a whole chapter on the book dedicated to the imposter syndrome because it's a reality, but there are ways to counteract it. And so I won't get into that specifically today, but it's definitely all in the book. So you want to get your copy. So I'm going to just go ahead right now. You can still feel free to type in the chat what you want your intention to be. Yes, toot your own horn. Okay, I'm gonna keep it coming, ladies. So let's just level set. I want everyone who's attending this session today to recognize and own that they are a leader. Raise your Zoom hand if you disagree with me that you are a leader. So I'm going to just make it all clear for all of us here. You're a leader if you're feeling called to lead in any kind of way. It could be just one person you're leading. That does not disqualify you from leadership. You're a leader if you're doing the work that is tangibly impacting lives, no matter at what level you're impacting some lives. You're a leader if you're the only one in your lane doing what you do as a lawyer. And you're a leader if you're taking the initiative or being proactive to take action that has an outcome that impacts people. So I want you just to, if you're having any doubt about your leadership potential, I want you to take time to recognize, as we talked it, and I say the word leader, I'm talking to you. You are a leader. So in male-dominated industries like law that you're all in, that have been built and structured for men to thrive, It's hard for so many women to feel like they can bring their full brilliance to the table. Am I right? That's a challenge. And so when I talk about leading like a woman and what it means to me, it's to lead in ways that help us to rise and thrive professionally. So a few key pillars, and just take note of what I'm saying right now. I'm just kind of landing some points. I can't get into these points in any depth today, but let's just be clear on what leading like a woman from my perspective looks like. It's leading with self-awareness, which includes your agency and authority as a woman and bringing your brilliance. And brilliance is everything. It's what I call your tags. It's your talents, your abilities, your gifts, and your strengths tags, like a name tag, right? It's leading with your leadership presence. So the quiz I have that Awatef referenced earlier is a fun little 5-minute quiz to help us understand a little bit more clearly what our leadership style is. And we hopefully will get to that later today. It's your leadership presence has to do with your posture. And I have created a whole acronym around the word posture as a leader. It's about leading with your emotional intelligence. Now, as women, I believe one of our secret superpowers is our EQ, emotional intelligence. And for me, a big part of that is our ability to be empathetic, to understand and read and be in the shoes of other people, and tapping into our inner wisdom, which I see as our intuition. These are not things that we've ever been taught in school or even in our careers, but it's something that with the work I've done, I realize, and with my own life, I have wisdom that is a lot of time beyond my cognitive mind. And so many of us do, but we don't leverage these gifts. And I feel like as women, tapping into these softer skills in our leadership is superpower impactful. Another way we lead as women is by leading to uplift others. Like I think Awatef was saying earlier, and somebody else was saying, I think it's Leanne, about we're all in it together. If we see it as a community, as a collective, we can lead and be for each other, not be competitors. Leadership is about service to others. It's actually not about yourself at all. So all the stuff we think about and we get all in our minds about, it's not about any of that. It's about how am I using my gifts and abilities to being service to others in my sphere. So but to be about others, we have to be solid in who we are first, so that we can uplift others from our overflow, from our bountiful state, not from scarcity and lack and insecurity. So we're going to get into that in the confidence part in a little bit. It also means leading with healthy boundaries. I talk so much about boundaries in the book because until we establish what we are willing to tolerate professionally or even personally, and what we are not, and learn to honor what those agreements we've made with ourselves and other people are, it's very difficult for us to lead or to rise professionally because people will take advantage of us without healthy boundaries. Boundaries are critical and foundational in professional life and personal life. I did a talk a couple of weeks ago to a group of women about boundaries, and it was supposed to be professional talk. It was 2 hours. We spent an hour and a half on personal. It's hard because it's hard and we're not taught to do these things. Again, in the book, I address this point so many times. And lastly, leading authentically. What does that mean? It means like leading with how you are. It's about not following the blueprints, the templates, the cookie cutter approaches or perceptions of what you've been told leadership has to be. Brene Brown says, who you are is how you lead. So you lead with how you are wired, how you're designed, what you bring, your brilliance. Don't try to lead like anybody else, because if you do, you will not ever be the most authentic and effective and impactful leader that you can be. So I'll just pause. And then there's one more point here actually I have to make with what does it mean to lead like a woman? This is a big point. It means leading with courage. Because as we all talk about, you're in law, very male-dominated space. And so often to step out and to speak up and to stand out, we have to be willing to be strong and courageous in what we believe and what we stand for. And that takes guts. And so sometimes it means being comfortable with being uncomfortable. That's a part of the costing in leadership, especially in the spaces that you ladies are in, to stand strong in your values and your vision, and your voice is, again, another foundational truth. So I'll just pause. Any comments, any questions about anything I've said so far? You all taking it in? So I'm going to get into the self-awareness part next, and leadership presence. Again, I'll go with the flow with what, again, I am not just talking, this is going to be interactive. So you all just got to bring out your voices very soon. But the first thing I want to say, and I think I'm going to try to put this in the chat, if I can, which one of these success saboteurs get in your way the most? I'm going to try to put the whole list in the chat. Give me a second. Okay. All right, so this is a list of things I'm going to have here so you can all see it. I'm going to read them all quickly. So it's imposter syndrome, which I know we all experience. It's a lack of confidence. It's perfectionism, afraid to bring your full self to work, fear of success, being the only, grinding and hustling and overworking, burnout, fear of failure, or fully owning your brilliance. Type in the chat which one of those, I call them success saboteurs for a reason, do you believe gets mostly in your way? Ooh, thanks for being honest. I think that was Jamie. 9 and 10, perfectionism, burnout, fully owning your brilliance. Yeah, conflicts with desire to remain humble, Sonia. Sonia, there's a big difference between humility and playing small. And that's, I think, a line that so many of us as women, we struggle with. Humble is, I'm all about humility, but that doesn't mean playing small or being in the shadows. So yeah, 3 and 5, fear of success. That's a big one. 3, perfectionism. So many of us try to be perfect. It's not about being perfect, it's about being excellent. Those are 2 different things. I'm an excellent striver. I can't help it. It's how I'm wired, but that doesn't mean I'm being perfect. I know the perfectionism grind. I was there for many, many years of my professional life, and I'm still call myself an overcoming perfectionist. It's something I continually have to monitor. Ladies, you're being very transparent now. Yes, many of them. So it's not just one, it's many of the different things I've just said. And I think that's why when I do these kind of talks, I like us to just get real with what are the hardest things. Perfectionism, I'll just say this quickly on perfectionism. Perfectionism is the enemy of good enough, of done, of I'm okay. It is such a narrative that we have adopted, so many of us, from how we were raised, from the cultures, from the environments we were in. And we again have to start flipping the narrative, flipping the script, so that we can realize that perfectionism does not get us to leadership. Perfectionism does not get us to even being recognized. You know what it leads to? Overworking, grinding, hustling. And you know what that leads to? You becoming the person they dump all the tough stuff on and not thinking of as a leader. Good for you, Catherine. All right, so I'm going to kind of move on a little bit. I don't know if anybody wants to chime in here. If not, I'll move on. But if anybody wants to talk to me voice to voice, I'm happy to talk to you and just about whatever you put in whatever your biggest challenge was. We can have a little mini conversation about that if somebody's willing to raise their Zoom hand. Allison, yes, go ahead.
I'll say something. I just read 4, which wasn't on my list, but I find that one very interesting too, because I think for a long time, along the lines of what you said, masculine norms or what we think a leader looks like, even for a woman, I think I pictured a particular person and thought, I need to be like this person, like my mentor or someone who's super successful and polished. And I would think, how do I change me to be that person?
Yeah.
And that was my whole goal. And I think still is probably to a certain extent. So I should have added that one onto my list.
So Allison, if so, now that you've just been aware of you're trying to follow somebody else's blueprint of leadership, which is not a bad thing in and of itself. But when we think we entirely have to be like that person, and then we start to lose ourselves in the process because we're different than that other person. You may have things that you're bringing to the table, Allison, that person doesn't have, that you need to kind of leverage and highlight. So now that you're aware about, I might be trying to copy that person's model of leadership, what would you do differently?
Well, I do think it's interesting to now, I think the workplace is changing and we see different models. So, and we hear different voices. And I think that's so important for all of us because then it becomes okay to be yourself and to be yourself and different from, you know, like wearing this suit and speaking this way and having my hair in this style. So yeah, I just think that's really interesting and something that I hope is becoming, you know, more embraced by everyone.
That is literally the key point I hope everybody takes away from today, if nothing else, is that you get to choose. So one of the things I'm passionate about is personal branding. And one of the things I talk about with under the personal branding umbrella is we get to dictate and own the narrative of our brand. If we don't, other people will do it for us. So this goes with branding and it goes with leadership as well. We get to choose what kind of leader we want to be. Now, yes, we can take cues from people we admire. That's absolutely perfect and great. But we cannot be telling ourselves, let's say, I'm going to give an example. So I'm a very excitable, passionate person. And when I like something, it's hard for me to contain myself. I was taught that excitability was a bad thing. So for many years, I tamped that down, like, okay, I have to be kind of like this. But by me doing that, guess what? I'm not being me. And the part of me that actually people connect with the most, and I didn't realize this until much later in life, is what I was actually hiding. And so when I allow myself to be like, well, I'm just this, I am going to be just me and be excitable. When I'm excitable, I'm realizing more and more that, oh my God, people call me passionate. They call me all these things. They tell me I'm an energy. And I'm like, whoa, it's all new to me because I wasn't bringing that part of me out because for so long I thought it was bad, it wasn't professional or whatever. And so I use that example to share that, to say that sometimes the thing that we don't see out there is the very thing we need to bring forward to give some other woman behind us the permission to say, I can be like that too. Women of color, yes. Oh, well, Awatef, you know, that's a whole thing with women of color and me being a woman of color and from a different country, right? So being an immigrant, I carried a lot of baggage with what was supposed to be quote unquote right and what I thought professionalism looked like and who I thought I had to be. And I know a lot of you in this room feel the same things. And so I hope if you take away nothing else from today, it's about, I mean, hopefully we have time to get into this more, is what brand of leader am I going to be and how do I express and exude something that's unique and authentic and relevant to the field I'm in and to who I am. So that's a big takeaway for today. I hope you take away. So I want to move on because I'm going to get totally derailed if I keep on doing what I'm doing right now. And I want to get into the confidence thing because it's so important. So the first 4 chapters, question, does the younger generation deal with this better? I think maybe a little bit because as Allison was saying, there's so many more examples that they have to choose from and they're seeing more women rising up in this day and age, whereas people from other generations didn't have those model examples. But I still think they struggle with the same things because guess what? It's the same systems that are out here, the same structures that we have to battle with are the same ones that they have to battle with too. But I will say, hopefully, that the younger generation, the new 20-somethings entering the job market, hopefully they're coming in with more authority, agency, and freedom to believe that they can be who they're meant to be as a leader. So the first 4 chapters of my book, it's in the first section, I call it Know, and that is intentional because it's about knowing who you are and knowing your limitations. So part of knowing who you are is, what is my purpose? What are my strengths? Again, back to my tags. What are my talents, my abilities, my gifts, my strengths? And what are the things that hold me back? So in those first 4 chapters, I have a whole chapter on confidence and a whole chapter on the imposter syndrome, because those 2 things combined are the #1 things, and perfectionism and people pleasing and all that is all ingrained in there, that hold women back from being the leader and from thriving in their roles. So you are all in law, in the field of law, and I imagine you chose that field for a reason. For some of you, it's your calling and it's your purpose. And for others, it might be the stepping stone to something that you're going to do down the road. When you're walking in your purpose, your level of self-awareness is critical, because as a woman leading in our domains, and with the challenges we face as women, our confidence game is everything. So here's what I call #hard truth. A lack of confidence can derail your career success. Your lack of confidence can derail your career success. It can weaken and diminish your impact in whatever you're doing professionally and personally. Most of us have areas where we feel insecure. That's all natural and normal, but confidence stems from being our own best champions, believing in our worth and value as a woman, and knowing what we bring to the table in our arena and in our sphere. At the heart of imposter syndrome is the lack of confidence, even though those 2 are separate things. And so many women struggle with this, especially women of color. There's actually statistics and research that shows women of color, we carry a little bit more baggage and more insecurities and more self-doubt. And so our imposter is even stronger than other women. We work hard as women to get success. And when it comes, we feel like we don't deserve it. Michelle Obama, yes, there's a whole Michelle Obama, who is like a model for so many of us. I saw that in the chat there. Thank you for that. She has actually acknowledged that she struggles with imposter syndrome today. Look at, everybody knows she's like the epitome of leadership and brilliance and all that. She struggles with it. We all, I'm sure Oprah does too. We all do. So gaining confidence in who we are and what we offer is so critical. And so here's, in the book, I talk about the posture of confidence, right? In my book, It's Your Time to Shine, Girl. And a confident woman, here's some kind of signs. She speaks out her truth. She's not afraid to show her vulnerability. That makes her authentic. She's curious. She asks questions. She listens well. She takes responsibility for her actions. She gives compliments freely. And she is a risk taker because she realizes that to get ahead, she has to be courageous and take risk. Conversely, a woman who lacks confidence exhibits these traits. She worries about what other people think. That's the whole people pleasing and self-doubt and all that. She's always guarded, which means she's trying to be a certain way and not being her full self. So she's like always like armored up and not being fully herself. She acts like she has to feel like she knows it all. That's something that I know we all have struggled with at some point. I've got to know all the answers. No, you don't. You don't have to know all the answers. You can be like, well, I'll look into that. That's okay. She makes, a woman who lacks confidence tends to make excuses for her behavior or insecurities. And this is one of the biggest things of lack of confidence. She seeks validation from others. When we can't own for ourselves that we are worthy, qualified, equipped, and great, and we have to get it from other people and constantly seeking to get that validation, that's the biggest sign of insecurity. And then she's a people pleaser. I was this for so long. It's like I could conform to whoever I needed to be to try to please others, but that's a losing long-term game. It's not going to get us where we want to be. So here's a question. Raise your Zoom hand. Who can relate to the confidence and the lack of confidence attributes? We can all relate to it. Type in the chat what confidence stance comes easiest for you. So in the whole, like, speaks her truth, not afraid to show vulnerability, curious, takes responsibility for her actions, gives compliments, is a risk taker. Which one of these comes easiest for you? And then in the other hand of it, the lack of confidence, which one do you struggle with the most? worries about what other people think, is always guarded, acts like a knower, makes excuses, seeks validation, is a people pleaser. Type in the chat. Sonia, risk taker, love it. Who else? Sonia, do you want to come voice to voice and talk about being a risk taker? Laura says, curious, gives compliments freely versus seek validation. Laura, do you want to come voice to voice? Come on, ladies, time to, it's, let's make this a little more interactive. Responsible for my, yes.
Okay, what's the question? You said, I was the one that said, I'm curious and I give compliments freely, but I do seek validation from
Okay,
others.
Laura, yes, okay, so speak about giving compliments freely and speaking your truth, and then speak about the seeking validation real quickly.
I think giving compliments freely just comes really naturally to me because it's easy for me to see something good in each person I meet.
Mhm.
And, you know, it's easy to compliment others. But I'm wishing that someone was complimenting me.
So that's the seeking validation part.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, and so I'm gonna just bear with me. So you see the good things other people do. Do you see the good things you do?
I do, yes.
So how could you flip the script so that even if others don't acknowledge the good things that you're doing, you could own that I did this, I accomplished this, I'm proud of this, whatever it is. How could you then not rely on others to notice it, but instead two things I'm going to challenge you with: owning it for yourself, and secondly, the harder one would be actually spotlighting the thing that you've done, which means self-promoting, which means saying, by the way, I had led a team that did XYZ, or I made this happen. That's the part that was women, we are so bad at tooting our own horn. So I'm going to say, Laura, two strategies. One is, the first one is actually really important, like knowing for yourself, look at me, high five, Laura, you know, whatever, I did it, right? And when it's something, especially something big and impactful, either whether it's in written form or in a conversation or in a group meeting or whatever, speaking out that, by the way, me and my team did XYZ. How uncomfortable is that for you, Laura?
It's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable to speak about myself.
What would make it easier?
I'm not sure. So just to give you a little background, I am the director of a resource center. And so I've spent a lot of time doing the work as opposed to promoting what we're doing. So now I'm trying to promote what we're doing. So I've gathered all the data and I'm putting together like an annual report. So I'm not quite sure what's the best way. I mean, we've done amazing. I've done amazing things.
Yes, yes, good right there. I know where you're going with this. So this is here's the strategy I can give you. I wish we had more time, but I'll say this, Laura. So it's so great that you're spotlighting what you and the team have done, and how, not just do, because doing the work, that's great at a certain level. Like in the beginning, in the first few years, we have to do the work to prove that we can do the work. But at another, to get to the next level, the leadership level, doing the work doesn't get us there. It's about, so leadership is about not doing, it's about being. It's about posturing your leadership. And part of posturing your leadership is owning your brilliance. So there's, okay, I'm gonna go ahead of myself here. Posturing, posture is an acronym. P is about leadership presence. R is about, I'm forgetting my R, give me a second. R is about your O is about hold on a second, I gotta look at it. But it's a whole acronym, because to be that leader and to spotlight ourselves, we have to be willing to say, not just my team did this, but I led my team, and so not just, because some of what we do sometimes is, oh yes, my colleagues did da, and we kind of like put ourselves like, well, it's not about me, but you almost have to be like confident enough to say, I led a team and we accomplished this. You want to be about the we, but you also want to be to not play small and not sell yourself, right? So the O is about owning your brilliance. The S is about, here's the strengths and the secret sauce I bring. The T is your temperament. So how am I? What do I exude as a leader? Your U is about your uniqueness, your differentiation as an individual. Your R is about your readiness to step out and be in the spotlight. And your E is about your energy. What vibes do I convey? Are people seeing me as leadership material, or are they seeing me as the doer, the achiever, the performer? Which we know when they see you as that, you stay there because you're getting the work done. And a lot of us, when we think like, I'm getting the work done, they're going to see my leadership. It doesn't work that way. Like I said before, Joe Miller said this, your work does not speak for itself. You do. You have to say it. And sometimes yes. Our mentors, like we might think, I know for me, I thought, well, my mentor, my boss knows what I'm doing. Surely they will speak for me. They may not. Even I had a female boss for the longest time, and I kept waiting for her to toot my horn, and she never did until I said, I got to toot my own horn, because if I waited for her, it would never have happened. I would have not gotten to VP, which was a goal I had, because she would have let me stay exactly where I was a senior director. So yes, you, Laura, thank you for sharing this experience, and you have to be the one, say what your team has done, and also in that, be very clear about the role you played in making that happen. Not from a place of arrogance or ego, but from a place of, I'm owning my brilliance, right? So thank you for coming out and speaking out about that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm going to move ahead real quickly. So it's all in the book, but here are 8 hacks to get you to be more confident. And I'm going to go through them very quickly because we don't have that much time. So I talk about playing to your strengths. That is, and that's a whole thing in itself, because I have so many women as clients who've come to me with amazing resumes, amazing accomplishment achievements, amazing expertise, 40 plus in years and experience. 20 years plus in experience. And I will say, what are your strengths? And they will look at me like, I don't know what I'm good at. And I'm like, what do you mean? You have your resume is like, they literally they have a resume, they have all the bio, all the stuff, but they have not owned their brilliance. So playing to your strengths mean, I know what I'm good at, and I'm going to leverage what I'm good at, because you know what happens when you leverage what you're good at? It's effortless, it comes easy, and you can thrive and rise so much quicker when you play to what you're good at. Another strategy, that's number 1 in terms of confidence building. Be mindful of your mindset. Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Growth mindset is all about, and you can Google Carol Dweck, her book on mindset has everything to do with mindset. Growth mindset is about, am I willing to believe in the possibilities of what I can change, I can evolve, I can become into the best version of myself? Whereas fixed mindset says, I'm not good at leadership, or I'm not good at being visible, and you believe you cannot change and you stay right there. Having the different mindset, the healthy growth mindset, is huge in being able to cultivate more confidence in who you are. Take up space, number 3 strategy. That means make your presence known, felt, seen, and experienced. I'm 6 feet tall. I used to want to be 5'2". I hated taking up space, but it's not about physicality. I'm just using that as an example. It's about make people know that you're in the room, be visible, say the things, speak out, stand up, show up. That's taking up space. Okay, here's a quick one, and we'll all do it together. Practice power posing. This is a real thing, ladies. It sounds goofy. Amy Cuddy was the researcher who found that when women have certain postures, literally physical postures, Superwoman pose is one, but the one I love is victory pose. And all it is you put your hands up in a V, you look up, you think positive, affirming thoughts about who you are and what you bring. And you do this for 2 minutes in increments throughout the day. You keep your hand, everybody kind of like, let's just do it all together. Put your hands up in the air, look up, think, I am good at what I do, I'm accomplished, I'm qualified, I'm equipped. Think all these positive thoughts, and you keep your hand up and you just surround yourself with those thoughts, and the physical energy of your hands being up like that does something to your hormones and your endorphins. And I just did it for not even 2 minutes. That was like 30 seconds. I feel better. So that's an immediate confidence booster that you can use anytime you need a little confidence boost. Do a victory pose. 5th, communicate with clarity. Be a great listener, speak up and out, ask for what you need. So many of us, we might need support, we might need help, you might need something. We don't ask. If you don't ask, people can't read our minds. So you have to put it out there for people to, oh, I love that, Laura. I love it. I love it. Put it out there for people to know what you need. You might get rejected, and that's why a lot of us don't ask, because we're so scared of being rejected. But unless you put it out there, you're not going to know the potential of getting what you need. Set clear boundaries. I cannot speak about this enough. Read my book if you want to learn some more about boundaries. But where you draw the line regarding behaviors you will tolerate, and those we will not. Everything in confidence. Act as if you're confident. You know the saying, fake it till you make it? Well, there is actually some truth to that. I tell a story in the book about how I had to, when I gave my first presentation as an entrepreneur, I was so scared and terrified I was going to fail, but I had to fake it and be like, okay, Natalie, it's your time to shine. Let's see, just act like you're confident. And I got up on the stage, and I was terrified of public speaking at the time. And I became this version of myself I didn't even know I had in me. And it was like, whoa, I acted as if, and my body and mind and spirit followed along, and it helped me be confident in a situation that at the time was very uncomfortable for me. So sometimes acting as if and faking it till you make it, again, and it's in the book, is the strategy to be confident. And finally, we talked about this earlier, celebrate your wins, because guess what? When you acknowledge, honor, pause, reflect on what you have done, accomplished, achieved as a woman of influence, that's how your confidence gets boosted up over time, because you are doing the work to tell yourself, look at what I've done and created. Does that make sense? So I look at it at a time and I'm like, whoa, there's a lot more I want to get into with strength, but we don't have time. I want to get into, I'll say this one thing about self-promotion really quickly. So self-promotion, when done well, is not just your right, but your responsibility. Back to Laura's share. Self-promotion is your right. Not just your right, your responsibility. When you understand, these are all points here, when you understand what you're good at and why you're good at it, you can promote and leverage this when you communicate with your superiors. Your boss, your mentor, whoever will not know how to leverage your skill set if he or she has no clue about your strengths. So you have to talk about it and show them and speak up about it. And again, back to this whole working hard. Working hard does not mean you will get the recognition you deserve. It only means you'll get more work dumped on you. That is hashtag hard truth. Hashtag hard truth. So I'm going to move on really quickly to leadership. I can't believe the time has gone so fast. Leadership presence really quickly. So everywhere we represent ourselves, we are showing up the face and the style of our leadership brand. Your leadership brand or style is a blueprint for how you want the world to see you in your role as a leader. Who you are is how you lead. That's a phrase Brene Brown coined. It is so truthful. Because leadership is, we think leadership is about what we do, but it's so much is about who we are and how we be. That doesn't make grammatical sense, but you get what I'm saying. It's who we be. And so the way others experience you as a lawyer, as a leader, has everything to do with your leadership presence. So I talked about the posture acronym before. So I'm going to give you all a quick little, I don't know if I have time for this. I'm going to go into my assessment real quick here.
Natalie, this is Alatif. We could continue to about 1:10 today. So
okay,
a few more minutes, and if people need to drop off, they will. And so, yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. So because I really want to interact with them on the leadership quiz assessment part. So Alatif, if you can put it into the chat, the link, but you don't have to do the link today, but do it because you'll get more information about what I'm about to share in terms of their 8 styles of leadership that I have curated from my work with women as a transformational leadership coach. And what I'm going to do in the next few minutes is tell you what the 8 styles are. But if you do the assessment, you will get to see how the style that, and you'll get on a result, how, depending on what you answer in the quiz, you'll get to see what comes into that style. But today what I'm going to do is, here are the 8 styles, and just play a little game here for 10 minutes or so about how you see yourself showing up in terms of your leadership brand and style, okay? So there are 8 styles, and as I read each one of these, note which one resonates with you as a leader and with your persona and personality and vibe, okay? So the first one is strategist. So strategist leads with problem solving and orchestrating things. That sounds like you, Laura. Can create new pathways and blueprints and navigate obstacles and sees the big picture of things. That's strategist. The second one is heart-centered. This person, this leader, leads with their empathy, champion and advocate for others. I'm sure a lot of you could relate to this one as lawyers. Generous, people first, looks at all perspectives because you have that gift of seeing what people need. The third one is developer. Leads with cultivating others' talents. Cheerleader, helper, service-oriented, very humble leader. Implementer is the fourth one. Leads with ambition and doing. High achievers, detail-oriented, get stuff done. The next one is commander. Leads like a leader. These are the alpha females among us, very confident, action-oriented, orchestrator of all things as well. The next one is called analytic. Leads with knowledge and data curation. These are thinkers and processors of information and data, very academic, very much into knowledge and sharing information. The next one is visionary. This is somebody who, like, oh my God, they have an amazing vision of what is possible. They are big dreamers, they're innovators, then they take risk. The next one, the last one is one of my favorites. It's the disruptors among us. This woman leads with unconventionality, likely the first or only in her lane. These are the outliers. These are the color outside of the liners. These are these are the contrarians. So all those 8 types, and again, I'll say them, I could put them in the chat. Let me see if I can put it really quickly. Strategist, heart-centered, developer, implementer, commander, analytic, visionary, disruptor. Which archetype best describes you? And I know we'll be doing this very quickly because of time, but just for the sake of having some fun and just like some self-awareness on your part, put them in the chat. Which one do you feel best sounds like you? And I want to take a few people, not a couple, more men, and we'll kind of do a little engagement about what it looks like and could be seen like. So Jamie is saying implementer. 4. Leanne, number 1, to strategist, because yes, you can be a combination of 2 or 3 types, usually not more than 3. Most people aren't just one type solidly, but though some can, but a lot of us are a combination of 2 or 3. Catherine says 2 heart-centered and 4 implementer. Okay, who else? And 1, 2, and 4, right? Oh, Shaman, yes, developer. Okay, so as you all reflect on these, who wants to come with me voice to voice? And I want to just go through a little exercise with you on how this works. So raise your Zoom hand and we will talk about whatever, depending on whatever you choose, how does that look like in the work you do and how you express yourself? Who wants to volunteer? And I can't see the whole screen right now, so somebody will have to tell me who's raising their Zoom hand. Don't be shy. I don't bite. Nobody wants to come voice to voice to talk about how they're wired. I'm gonna pick someone. I'm joking.
I'll jump in. My name's Shannon. I'm from the West Coast. I'm actually not an attorney. I was invited by a mentor through my company, Sonia Paschini, and I'm excited to be here and appreciate the opportunity. I did take the book, the quiz, as it was referenced in the book, and I came out definitely a developer. And I agree with what it said. But what I struggle with is I kind of want to be other things too, and I only got developer.
Yes, I love this is great. So okay, so let's do this, Shannon. So developers that's all about inspiring others, uplifting others, seeing the potential of others. And that's great. But when you say I want to be other things, what other things would you like to be?
I guess let me go back to the book. I want to be a visionary. I want to be a strategist. And I guess I sort of thought when I took the quiz that I would probably get a combination of a few things, but man, I was solid, just one, developer.
Because you can see the top two. It's funny. So anyway, so here's the thing. So this is one of the points I make. So this is the point of the quiz too. So you're coming off as developer, which is great, but you want to be more strategist. You want to be more visionary. So here's the challenge. So as you can tell from when you did the quiz, there are all kinds of ways we can show up in the different categories I put in the quiz. So to be more of a visionary would mean that you would have to strengthen some muscles in you that perhaps you have not yet toned, right? What does that look like in the work you do to strengthen the muscle to be seen as a visionary in your field, Shannon?
Well, I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm just sort of leaning into this and wanting, I just really want to try to do other things because I feel like I don't want to be, pegged as I just don't want to be pegged as one thing. So, so maybe I'll always be strongest in the area of being a developer, which is great. I don't have a problem with that. I just, I want to be like everyone else. I think everybody has so much to offer. And I know that we all bring different things to the table, which is what makes us so powerful. Yeah. But some of the things that other people have strengths in that I have less strengths in, I'm envious of, and I want to be more like that. So
I just love that you brought this up. It's such a very authentic thing to express, and it's such a common thing that we as women, this is the competition part, right? And we say envy, but it's also kind of competitive, like I want to be more like her. So this is great. So Shannon, here's what I want to say first. Your developer is your superpower, obviously, clearly. And so you want to make sure that you're proud of that you fully embrace that. Like you said, like it's a great thing to be able to have that gift of seeing potential and uplifting others. We need more of that. And there's an and here, not a but. And you can say, okay, let's say that because strategist, I'm actually very strategic. It's just no brainer for me. And it's a new strength that I didn't know I had for many, many years. And I have observed myself and know and see that strategists, we see patterns, we make connections with things, we can tie X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and go, this goes. So it's one of the strengths, one of the assessments I love and believe in is Clifton Strengths. And it tells you they have their own language, but one of their strengths is called strategist. It's my number one. And it says of all the 34 strengths that assessment talks about, strategy is the only one they say you cannot teach someone to be strategic. They either have that gift or they don't. So for you, Shannon, I'll say, if you know in yourself that I'm really good at connecting dots, but it doesn't come out in my work, then you have to ask yourself, how can I make people see that I'm really strategic? That's one thing. Or to the visionary part, how can I make people see that I have big ideas and big visions for where this thing can go, this project, this initiative, whatever things you do? How can I bring that more out? A lot of the times, all it is about is observing ourselves objectively and then seeing where we're good. But I'd highly recommend doing Clifton Strengths. I always recommend everybody I know and all my clients to do it because it's one of the first ways, easiest ways to know, here's where I'm good and here's where I need to delegate or whatever. But if you don't want to do that assessment, that's Gallup's assessment, not mine. If you don't want to do Clifton Strengths, then you can just be observing of yourself and then listen to what people say about you. Are people saying to you, Shannon, you're so smart and you're so whatever. Shannon, you have great ideas. Shannon, sorry, you have great ideas. Listen to what the compliments you get and then go, You know what I mean? Like that's a easy step you can take. This for all the women here right now to know where are people seeing my brilliance and how can I strengthen this more strategically and more intentionally. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I love it. And it gives me, you know, great hope and, you know, push to go forward in those other areas, which is what I really loved about the quiz. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome. And thank you so much for sharing, Shannon. So I want to let everybody know that you all each have the power, authority, and capacity to shape the narrative of the posture that is most aligned with you and how you are built and designed and wired. So the descriptors we talk, I didn't even get to this part, but when you do the quiz and when you kind of go deeper, be really put the quiz in the chat. I don't know if our Tiff, I don't know if you put it already, but I'll drop it in real quick. And then I want us to end, because I see the time again, it's gone very quickly, but I want us to kind of like end with, this is important, like what have you taken away from what you've heard or experienced today? And what step from what you've learned today, what step can you take this month to move forward in the thing that you've learned about yourself? Typing it in the chat gives you accountability and acknowledgement of, okay, I learned this, I was made aware of this, and I'm going to do this. So just the act of putting it in the chat is something where you make yourself more accountable to the goal that you want to achieve from your time today. So just if you don't mind sharing that with everybody, that would be great. And just thinking of what in the leadership presence part of things and the whole posture academy I went through so fast because I didn't have much time to get into it, but how could I own my brilliance more? How could I really sharpen my strengths? How can I bring my uniqueness more to the front? The thing that makes me different, how can I spotlight that? My temperament, my personality, that's a huge part in the leadership brand that we put out there. How does my temperament influence or sometimes take away? Because our personality can actually be a detractor. So we have to be very self-aware again of our limitations and our strengths. That's why the first section of my book is all about knowing who you are, what you bring. The next section is about showing, that's the visibility part. That's the putting myself out there part, my brand and my brilliance. And then the last section is about glow. How do I maintain the glow and thrive now that I know and I show myself? How do I maintain the glow so that I could sustain my brilliance and make my leadership keep on rising to elevate others? I'm seeing the takeaways here and they're all so great, ladies. I know we have a little bit more time, but I just wanted to make sure the ones who have to leave at 1 Eastern had the time to get the ending of all of this. Yes, being intentional, Lorraine, is everything. Don't wait for others, Catherine, to notice you. Yes, you have to, because you'll be waiting forever and you may never get the validation you want. So we shape the narrative. We have the agency. We have the authority to let people know how we want our brand to be perceived. That goes for any brand, but as a leader, as a game changer, as a way maker, whatever you are in your role, you want to be intentional and strategic about how you shape the narrative. And Catherine, I just love it. And I would love to just, if you have more time, I would love to know what being a disruptor looks like for you, because that's I'm a little bit of that, but I'm not, I love the disruptors. Disruptors, ladies, are the ones among us who change the game for all of us. That's why I love it. So Catherine, if you had time, I'd love you to come voice to voice, but I see Awatef, you may have to end the ones who have to leave. I don't know how you want to go with this.
No, I mean, we still have an extra 10 minutes. So yeah, continue the conversation. It's wonderful.
Catherine, if you are brave enough, I would love you to come and talk about your disruptiveness and how that shows up in the role that you play in your work. If you can still stay on.
So just for a minute, it surprised me to identify with that, but I have consistently been in organizations that I've worked in the only person in that role or the first person in that role, which I am at Legal Aid. I'm trying moving forward with a program initiative for small businesses. So it just is. It's not easy for me to follow other people's footsteps.
What does that mean? Because that's an interesting thing, the way you said it. When you say it's not easy for me to follow the way it's been done, what does that mean? What does that mean, Catherine?
I have to find out my own way to do it in order to understand it.
Yes. And do you fully, because that's it. So you are exhibiting the point I was making earlier. Sometimes we are the ones who blaze the trail. So it sounds like that's what you're doing in your field in legal aid. You are building and creating a new blueprint, a new roadmap, a new way to do it, a fresh perspective. You are bringing your brilliance into the thing that you are doing. And that is innovation. That is bringing the woman's perspective, which I also always fully embrace, of course, because sometimes it's complementary and what's needed out there in the marketplace, right? So the fact that you already know that the way you operate best is to create your own pathway, that is entirely disruptive. And I love that you are saying it out loud, because sometimes we don't even realize that that's what we do. And that I believe is, and you have to be very confident that, okay, I'm not going to go the well-trodden path. I'm going to go off the path, create a whole new path. That requires so much confidence. So Catherine, how is your confidence game?
I would say it's about average.
So what I could tell, because I could tell a little bit. So what I would implore and just suggest for you is, if you have a copy of my book, you want to read that whole chapter on confidence and imposter syndrome, really take it in slow. And I have all the strategies, but I would say, when I was talking about the confidence part really quickly, which strategy resonated most for you in terms of building your confidence so that you can bring your disruptive persona fully into your field?
I really liked the being active and moving your body. That said a lot to me.
The superpower poses. So that's something that, so for that to really take root in you, you would have to practice and Google Amy Cuddy on power poses, and you'll get more information about it. But you literally have to do that, like, let's say 3 times a day minimum, for that to really become like something that your body and your brain integrates as a new neural pathway that will build your confidence. On its own, in 2 minutes, it gives you a quick boost. But to really have it sustain and build your confidence over time, you'd have to be doing it routinely and intentionally. But it really does work. There's research to back that up. So I would say, of all the things I mentioned, that is the quickest, easiest, most funnest to me, because I love doing my victory pose. Even though I forget to do it, because I'm like, why don't I remember to do this more often? Because it feels so good in the moment. And it gives me that, like, okay, I can do this, right? But I would say, in addition to the physical superwoman pose, Catherine, I would suggest you lean in to the strengths you bring and articulate for yourself. Like what I've had some of my clients do is to do you know what a SWOT is? A SWOT analysis? Strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats. Do one on yourself. It sounds funny, but it's a real thing I've created. Not created, but I have leveraged. When you do that, could objectively see, because what happens is when we start to list out our strengths, and you might need help to build out your strengths quadrant, but ask your people who know you, what are my strengths? What am I good at? And make sure that part is really fully fleshed out, but also be aware of your limitations, your weakness, and the opportunities and threats in terms of what you do. That in itself can be a thing to make you see, wow, I do all these things. Honestly, that's one of the fastest paths to recognizing brilliance and boosting your confidence is knowing what you bring. All of it, not just the 2 little things here, all of it, because all of us have multiple things that we bring to the table. We just don't recognize it for what they are. Thank you for sharing, Catherine. Anybody else have a question or something that Awata, go ahead.
I was just going to say, is there a way you can tell us a little bit how to contact you? I personally want to contact you, even though I feel like I'm a seasoned attorney, but hey, I still have a lot to learn. I learned so much today. So has everyone else. It's been an incredible presentation. Thank you so much. And thank you all for participating.
Yes, the easiest way to contact me is, I'm going to put a few things in my chat, but I don't even have my website on there, but it's through my website, The Unveiled Way. I'm going to put it in real quick. Hold on a second. Let me just get this in. theunveiledway.com. Everything that you need to know about me is on there. You can follow me on LinkedIn because even though I'm on vacation now, I'm not posting, but I'm usually very active on LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram, but everything you need to know about what I do, how I work, and how to reach out to me is on my website, first and foremost, theunveiledway.com again. And again, I have a special offer for all you ladies today. Go to that link I sent you. It's something you can book your time with me and do a 60-minute, I think it's 60, I forget, a 60 or 90-minute session that's at a very special rate for all you ladies to get you momentum to move forward in all the things we discussed today. Thank you for the things you're putting in the chat. I really appreciate that. I realize I cannot save the chat. So what if you can save the chat and send me the chat after we're done, that would be great, because it doesn't allow me to save the chat.
Absolutely. And Dominica will send you the video if you would like.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great.
Oh, I wish we had more time. It went fast.
Yes, it has. And I just want to remind everyone that everyone who attended here today, we purchased Natalie's book for you. You just have to contact Dominica and just come down to the CMBA. Thank you so much. As Catherine O'Connell just stated, this has been so wonderful and very uplifting. You're a very genuine person, authentic. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye. Blessing.